$1,000. And so you can see where we are. We're looking more a little bit like 2022, 2023, still right at 18% of our overall budget in the county treasurer at this point. And so we're the kind of turquoise color there. The green was 2 years prior, 22, 23. I'm predicting, based on what I'm seeing in enrollment patterns with Insight, that this year the chart might not follow what is happening up there. So stay tuned. That's what I think.
Which way do you think it'll go?
I think it's going to go up a little bit more in November, and it might even go up in December, and then it's going to plateau out. I don't think it's going to dip like that. No, as we are continuing to see enrollment steady in Insight. Okay, so go to the next. So again, we have our 5% at $3.2 million of our $65 million budget, and our undesignated unreserved is at 12% at $8.1 million. And so our revenues were at, oh, we just did this.
This was October.
We did October.
We just did October. Hey, go back. I don't think that slide should be in there, so just pass on by that slide. Just go right on by that. Go right on by that slide too. Go right on by that slide and that slide and that slide. There we go. Awesome. I do want.
Well, wait a minute. Go back one.
No. Last year, I just copied. That was November 2023.
2023. Okay.
So those actually shouldn't be in there. So
That's okay.
Hazel and I reviewed everything. This is on us, right?
Beep, beep. That's
Beep,
the bus
beep.
running over you, Hazel.
Anyway, if you're under reports in your on your agenda and you go to October budget status,
23.
October,
The stuff below it's 23.
what?
You go to the next slide, it's 23.
Yeah, we're not looking at those.
That's right.
Well, that
Okay.
should, oh my goodness. I wonder if we have the wrong PowerPoint in here.
Maybe.
There.
There we go.
There we go. Okay.
Just a few extra slides.
Before we go on to enrollment, though, I do want to say for the month of October in our debt service fund, because we're tracking our timber dollars, we budgeted for way less in our local timber dollars that come in the debt service fund. We only budgeted $120,000. We're currently above 50%. We're at 53,000. We got an additional minimal part, but we're already almost at the half mark in 2 months time. So we're probably going to see more local timber dollars in the debt service fund, which is good because those are local dollars in that you can spend elsewhere if we need them, like for the fields, when we need matching funds for the fields behind Sarah's building.
I kind of like the other enrollment slide better.
Which
It was only down 17. This one's down 24.
Yeah. Okay. Otherwise, with budget, again, we're seeing an additional amount of surplus a little bit because of our enrollment. Remember, September through January or September through December, they pay us based on what we projected enrollment. Then they're going to take a little bit away in January, but you're going to see when we get to Insight that they're really closing the gap of where we thought we would be. Okay, so for brick and mortar, December enrollment, we're actually down 25 locally in brick and mortar, almost 25 FTE. Elementary's pretty stable, but a little bit shy. There's just been some movement in, I think, grades 3 and 4, maybe. Kids coming and going a little bit. Sarah, probably right. So we're close to budget there. Same with middle school, down a little bit with 235 FTE on the average 6. And again, then the high school, the students that we've lost may either be in our ALE brick and mortar program and or over at Running Start. So for Homeschool Plus, we're sitting at 45 FTE. And that truly between two teachers, that splits. We have Janann Meyer and Judy Whitehead there. That's about 22 per, and that really is max. What I'm hearing from other school districts is our ALE programs, online or brick and mortar, are you're seeing an increase in enrollment just because of student need in today's world. And then Insight School of Washington, Myron, you can chime in anytime, but look how close we were to what we budgeted in our elementary grade levels, K through 5. We're only 24 away from what we were budgeting, so that's really close. Same thing really with our middle school, not far off there. Again, we're looking at an average though of September through December. I'll go ahead to the next one. And then the biggest deficit is probably at the high school. Are we seeing movement there? Myra?
Yes, we are. So it looks like, or I'm anticipating the January 1 count for the elementary to be close to about 580 for the head count.
Yeah.
Middle school about 715, maybe 720 for the January head count. And then high school head count right now is at 1831. So I anticipate we're going to start seeing that. High school generally has more kids that come in later, particularly after the semester 1 transition in most schools. That's when a lot of kids start popping in. And so we already have a pretty big group that's approved for our January start with the high school. We have about 60 plus kids already approved for our January 13th start. So actually, I need to back up. So the CAD count we're seeing right now, there's like 64 of those kids that probably they would not be on fundable for January 1 because they don't start till after count day. So we'll realize some of those kids I was talking about in February because of the way that the start dates.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. What I remember from the past is generally in the second semesters where we see that huge increase in the high school level for whatever reasons. Yeah.
So we'll see a little bit of a bump in the February count, and then I anticipate a bump in March, and then we'll see another bump in April. And then this year the high school was different than other years. We're actually approving kids all the way through May. So we're going to should see higher numbers in April and May counts as well, and June.
Okay, thank you. So on the average, or for the month of December, we're only down 600, and some people go, well, that's a lot. We want that cushion for our overall budgeting process. That's why we increased that, because last year we had to do the budget extension, and we're looking at an average of 770. Again, I predict we're gonna come close this year. That seems to be the trend amongst school choice. Okay.
All right, thanks, Dinah. Next up is a leadership report, November attendance report
Can you pull that up?
for 2024.
So if you're looking at average daily attendance, I think last year we ended at 92%, so we're a little bit below, and that's how many kids are in school each day. With the elementary is generally the highest. We're almost at 93, FMS at about 92, and a little lower at FHS. But again, chronic absenteeism is defined as missing 2 or more school days a month. So go to the next slide. And I'm not as pleased with this. Our district average is currently at 78%. Our goal is to be at 80%. Remember, we ended the year at 70%. So you can see where we are at the elementary school, about 75%. Well, somewhere in there. Oh, 7, I think. Yeah. We're at the highest at the elementary, which is generally the trend, the lowest at the high school. But I also know we had our attendance meeting where we have our building principals, our office attendants, clerical staff, and then some support staff who help with our truancy. And one of the things I heard is a lot of kids are really sick. There's an illness going around in the month of December. So we're going to clean up. We'll meet again the 1st of January. One of the key elements, I think, is that we were touching base once a month last year, and we will continue on that track in January so I can see what support the buildings need. Yeah, Tom?
I can say, I was in truancy court today.
Okay.
We only had 2 kids in truancy court so far this year. And I don't remember what it was this time last year, but we had a lot more than 2.
But it might be that we don't have all the paperwork ready and the meetings ready.
Well, but I'm saying this time last year.
We had a lot more. Yeah.
Okay.
If you
So we're looking better.
if you go to the next one, you can see how many kids we filed on, 1 at the middle, 2 at the high school. And so again, that's one of the things that we do in the meetings is go back through the records. That's why our office attendance clerks are there. So who support our building principals and Tom to make sure all the paperwork is done. Before you file on somebody, you try all other support measures. And again, our goal is to get them here. If they're not here, they cannot learn.
Where did they go to court on that?
It takes place in Port Angeles as you're on your way by the fairgrounds, the baseball field.
Yeah.
Where the
juvenile detention.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What
that's where
goes
they-
on there?
But I appear on Zoom with kids.
So what goes on there for the student?
Oh, they will, we look at attendance, we look at grades, we look at engagement. They do something called the Warren's Assessment, which talks about why, which are community liaisons. We'll talk to kids and find out what's keeping them, what barriers they have from keeping them from coming to school. So we work with families and we try to get them and then the court gets involved to kind of apply some more pressure to the parents. If we can get the parents to attend, we're usually lucky to do that. But
We have
we've
to
had some success.
We have to serve the families the papers. We do all the work. And
Yeah.
and actually, we can't even file on a student until we've done, like, I don't know, 10 things. It's not just easy. And our goal too, a strategy has been, what support do families need that we can provide for them or find for them so we're not alienating them. But there are kids and families that just disappear. I don't know how else to say it.
What's their usual excuse? I mean, why do
Well, there's any number of
they?
them.
So a judge actually says you have to attend class or?
They talk about that, but they talk about, excuse me, reasons why they're not attending school and what can we do to help you. And that's where I come in. I'm kind of like that. I'm the mediator, the one that goes in between the parents and the school. And then there's actually, if a student is in contempt of their plan, then there's actually a public defender who gets involved. And this year, I am working with him cooperatively. We're both working with families instead of him being the adversarial guy and not working together. We're working together, and it's I think it's a
Helping.
better method approach.
There's not the old, though, we're going to fine you or we're going to put you in jail or any of
I haven't
that. I
done
mean,
that.
that's really old school. We're still the ones on the hook to figure out what's going to work.
So it's more just to scare them.
But we also
Okay.
kids have gotten into counseling
Mhm.
as a result of that, and maybe an alternative program because the comprehensive mainstream school was not working for them, so they opted. And we've had a bunch of kids become very successful through our alternative program when they weren't attending or being successful.
And do the parents usually take part?
Pardon?
Do the parents usually take part in the
I would say
after that?
probably 25 to 30% of the time I'll have parents. And that's part of it right there.
Yeah. I bet
The
so.
parent support, lack of.
Okay.
Is it more girls or boys? I bet you it's more boys.
It's kind of 50-50.
Is it really?
Right now it is.
Boys.
My 2 cases today, 1 male, 1 female.
50.
50-50.
Is that it, Diana?
That's it.
Okay, thank you. Board reports. Anybody have anything tonight?
Nope.
No, just wish everybody a happy Christmas and good New Year and all that.
Yeah, the boys are doing good. The basketball, how are the girls doing?
They're doing okay.
I walked through the school here and all the doors are decorated. It's really festive. I had two things maybe. In front of the gym there, it says at the next level, we have that super nice board. Is that a Kyle thing? Like it needs updated. Because there's some kids that are at that next level.
I was just at a coaches association meeting, and that was one of the things on the agenda. So yes, that's on the radar.
But
What
yeah,
was,
so
no, what was that?
well, so there's I don't know if you've seen it in the gym. It says at the next level, and it's this beautiful board, and it has the kids that are playing like college level sports, and it has the 4 that are up there aren't really playing anymore. So, and there's kids from our community that are playing in college that their pictures aren't up there yet.
I got you.
But then I was thinking, I don't know if this is something we could do. We've taken it a step further. Sarah might be on board with this with me, but this is at the next level of playing sports in college. But what if we did like at the next level of our military kids that are in the military and display their pictures
That's a good idea.
for the community to see? And I think it's just, because we have so many that are serving our military right now, serving our country. So thought that might be kind of cool, something to add out there is have pictures of all our kids that are active duty right now, maybe.
Yeah, I think they had, Diana, correct me, you're probably the only one that went on it, but when we went to Franklin Pierce, when we were looking at schools, they had police officers, firemen,
Oh, see, yeah.
military people. They had a wall of that, and plus the sports stuff too.
First responder kind of
First,
thing.
and yeah, it was really neat. And that was back in what was that? Like, was
Wasn't that in Tacoma?
yeah, it was in Tacoma, but
Yeah.
wasn't it Franklin Pierce? It was just remodeled, brand new school they got. It was pretty neat. We went in the gym and through it and looked at stuff.
This was at the conference?
No,
this
when
was
we
at,
Oh, when you were
went to
looking
visit
around
schools,
something.
when we were looking at how we would replace or build this building. Yeah,
build this building.
it's a
And
great
they had
idea.
a bunch of that stuff. Like I said, the ones that graduated from there, remember their cafeteria was really neat too. And they had a lot of pictures of, police officers and firemen and EMT people and athletic people.
I just think it'd be cool, like for our younger
The
kids to see
hallways,
it too.
yeah, it's really
And-
neat, yeah.
Yeah, and for the community, when they come in here to be like, oh, I didn't know that person was in the military,
Yeah.
or that person's a police officer or something. I just
Sounds fun.
thought that might be kind of something fun to add to update what we have and maybe add to it.
One of I attended the Coaches Association meeting to talk about our upcoming EP&O levy and then our 100-year celebration, because we're getting January 1st, 2025. We'll be in the business for 100 years. And wanted to hear input from the coaching staff, maybe of honoring former generational players. Like one night we say, we're opening this up to any former volleyball players. We want you to sit in this section who played for Forks High School Spartans, and then we make a big to-do. We're figuring out how to do that now with our basketball programs and then soccer and track. So we can, because by that time next year, we'll already be in 2026. And then one of the other things that they're really wanting, I don't know if you've been to it, museum, but now they have these interactive tables where you can go Spartans 1925, and you can pull up all this historical stuff. So we want to get one of those, and Kyle has priced those out, but it's going to take a ton of work to get all the data so it's reflecting 100 years. I mean, it's not something we can do overnight. Putting all of our old pictures in where you've got actually where people come in the front, kids could look and see my dad, my uncle, or just look back. And so that's our vision. I don't know when we'll get there. But it just takes kind of what we did in the front here. We're feeling like we need that as well because there's a lot of people in that gym area when we have activities going on in the gym. So we want to take that, digitalize it, and make it that. We had a big discussion about that. That would be
That's
cool.
a good idea.
That would be fun.
But really, those modular things, they're not that expensive. It's just the technology, the files
the
behind
data.
it. Mhm.
The data
Mhm.
entry.
We could even put Insight School of Washington. We could have 20 years of 25 years with Stride. No, we could have all that information in there. I mean, it becomes a historical piece and it's pretty cool.
Okay.
Danny, did you cover the I was on it last meeting. Did you?
I really didn't
Oh, well,
because I wanted you to have an opportunity to talk.
Yeah, and I left all my notes at home too, but, yeah, it was a good conference. I really would suggest, next year that fellow board members go to it because things have changed since probably last time you guys have been there, and it's really good. Yeah, the cell phone thing, I went to that. They talked about it at these big high schools, you know, like 3A, 4A schools that they put these in. I can't even think of the name of the school now.
Peninsula.
Peninsula High School in Gig Harbor. They had no problem.
They don't let kids carry,
Cell phones.
show their cell phones at all.
Yeah.
Throughout the day from start to finish. When they're in the building, they're not supposed to have them.
And they're the same, you know, some of the stuff we got feedback on, the same thing, but they just addressed them and, you know, the parents were a big part of the problem. So they addressed all that. They did a lot of research. And there was other schools, people that was in there that said, yeah, we're doing it now. We want to do it now, you know, so what did you guys, so it was a really good little thing on that. So, yeah, that was very good. I think it was pretty well attended too. And they had some good stuff. The keynote speaker was really good. Talked about, well, Diana probably talked about that a little bit.
I don't know that I did,
She
but
got into it a lot.
we wanted to bring him to our opening for an hour session last fall because we heard him at another place, but he put the information to us about our current generation of Gen Zers and the difference between a Gen Z. They started with the my age group, black and yellow.
Baby
Baby
boom.
boom.
Baby boomers, then to the millennial, then Gen X, Gen Z, and they part of our attendance issues are really more about the culture of that generation. They call them the Gen no belt,
Yes. Yeah.
tool belt
Tool,
kids
yeah.
because they are less college goers, more of the trades, make more money in the trades. And primarily because they watched a group of, well, they're adults who said, go to college, everybody go to college, who incurred a lot of debt. And then 2008 hit and, you know, they couldn't find jobs and they're still living at home and blah, 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 blah. Did a great job of really outlining some of the things we need to change in our schools because of just Gen Z growing up with technology.
Yeah.
It was really
Yeah,
fascinating.
it was really good. Yeah, and then went to kind of a school for levies also. Yeah, went quite a few good sessions on it. But yeah, I think it's over in Seattle next year instead of Bellevue. And you just take the ferry, walk across, and be there.
Perfect.
So I think it.
We can
I
Uber.
think that, yeah, we can Uber.
We can Uber.
What's the venue
Where?
in Seattle?
It's a
The
Hyatt.
convention center?
It's a Hyatt.
The Hyatt.
Yeah, convention center.
So we should get our rooms early.
Yes.
Yes, we need to get a
Yeah.
book.
Should book them
Did you
now.
hear
Right
that? We
now.
should get our rooms
Hazel.
early.
Get in there, Hazel. book it. But no, it would be.
Look at it, Hazel. Look at it.
There's a lot of changes that even since, over the years, there's something new every time, and this Gen X stuff and baby boomers, you kind of understand a little bit about the kids a little bit more, I think, didn't you, Diana?
Yeah.
On it, they don't really care if they get up and go to school or whatever.
They really
or
don't.
work. They could just do it at home, so you gotta, he explained a lot better than I can, but it was kind of interesting. And then a lot of AI stuff too, a lot of that going on. And I think we're gonna look at some, we gotta
Board
deal with
policy.
it
Yeah.
sooner than later. So I think we got some good stuff off
Do
of
we
that.
even have any policies on AI?
No, but the Washington State is one of the first 5 school districts to get them in place. And so it's just a matter of me bringing them to you. There's really 3 buckets: what board policy is, then what your teachers can do with it, and what your students can do with it. But
Yeah.
it's really cool. I mean, I sat in on an hour session with the speaker that we were talking about, and it is
And
really
I
fascinating.
did another one.
It really
Kind
is.
of like a learning one. And it was pretty good.
Yeah.
It was a little different than the one she went to, but we kind of split them up just to kind of, and there was a lot of those questions in the audience too about how we're going to deal with it in the future and what we're going to do with it and what can we do with it. And
What
some
should
of
we
the
do with
things-
it?
And some of the things aren't always right either. They found that. So there's a lot of stuff. It's new technology, but like you said, it's going to be out there, just like the cell phone was. So
I s-
you better get in.
I saw
get things in
something
place.
on, it's like, maybe it was 60 Minutes or something, where AI did a lesson plan for a week for a teacher in 5 minutes or less.
Oh,
I
yeah.
saw that too.
You know, and it took all
Yeah,
day
they
for
did
them to
that
do
in
it.
one of the sessions I
But-
was in.
We already probably know that kids are using AI to write papers and
So,
in certain,
Well,
to a certain level, because they don't want to appear too smart.
so go ahead.
Okay, so our work with Solution Tree,
mhm.
when our most recent training was on tech and AI. And one of the things that our expectation for these teachers in this first year is that they establish their essential standards, those 10 standards, that these are the gold standard that we're gonna make sure that we're teaching on grade level and above, so that the next grade knows that the kids are coming with these skills. And so we've been having staff go through the process of learning how to identify these standards and how to unpack them. And it's a laborsome process, and it's intentional that it's taking time because we want the staff to dig in and
Learn them.
take ownership of these standards and learn them and learn why they're important. And in this session, the presenter was like, okay, so what's your purpose in having them unpack these standards, right? Like, is it for them to do the work, or is it for them to learn the standards? And he took the standards, he just said, unpacks, I'm kindergarten standard, whatever, where kids need to count to 100. And it dumped it out completely, and then put it in a proficiency scale so we can see like the steps to get to it. Dumped it out. And
Put it in kid language.
Mhm.
You will learn, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah, put it in teacher
In-
language. It was
in-
powerful.
in 5 minutes, the whole standard was unpacked, proficiency scale, proficiency rubric in kid-friendly language. And the power in that is that now what we've been having the staff spend 55 minutes to start unpacking, they're doing the work and they're not getting to have the conversation around it because they're busy figuring out what it is, which is important and valuable. But then on the back end of it, if we can give them the draft, that then they can start having the conversations about, well, it was an amazing like aha as to the power of giving them a jumping point, a launching point to have those deep conversations, and get into the actual meat of the work rather than having to figure it out over here. So it was really
Yeah,
powerful.
they use that a lot, and you could take a
Mhm.
50-page document and summarize it for 1 or 2 pages, and it pulls everything out of it.
And then-
And you could tell it what to do, what you want to know about it. Yeah, I've played around with it, and yeah, it saves a lot of time. Writing too.
And then Sheila and Myron can talk a little bit about K-12 or Stride, what they're doing, because they also are embracing AI, what we learned when we were in Washington, D.C. but it's very similar to what we're doing. It can do a lot of the heavy lifting, not only for kids, but also for staff. So staff are freed up more to work one-on-one with kids.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We've got teams working on this with everything from automated grading for text-heavy submissions such as English language, social studies. So things where you have to read a narrative and feedback. The AI-generated grader can in seconds where it would take a teacher 15 minutes. So that's exciting to watch that as they're experimenting with that. Still have the teacher course. You don't want to ever take that away. And then the review before it goes to the student. So there's some interesting team looking at AI, teacher intelligence, ways to help students get kind of instant virtual tutoring if it's needed. That's pretty exciting too. So a lot of work.
Yep.
Sounds like teachers are on the verge of obsolescence.
No,
No.
no. So one of
Just
the
making their job
things we
easier.
did in my session when we were at WASDA is
That's the first step.
he gave us an assignment, or he said, create an assignment that you might have kids do in a classroom. And of course, I'm sitting with school board members, so it came anything from a history lesson to whatever. And then he said, okay, put that in Chat GPT. First, everybody had to get Chat GPT on their device. That was interesting.
They
But
needed some
on a
intelligence.
device. And once everybody got that, then he had us pick our favorite subject, a grade level, and imagine an example of a lesson. And then he said, okay, you're assigned teaching that, and everybody groaned. And then he said, but you have a 5th grade level reader, a 7th grade level reader, a 10th grade level reader, a 1st grade level reader. Put it in there that you want it in different grade levels. It pumped out the same assignment, but where all students could access it. And it looks similar. It's just at different grade level readings, so kids can access the assignment
The power of
in less than 30 seconds.
Oh, no, it's amazing.
I wrote a song about forks. It was awesome.
Oh, wow.
You can put it
You
to
did or AI did?
AI did using it's Suna, and you can determine if you want like Kiss or you want, something from the 60s or Morgan.
You mean a group?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it was making,
Yes.
it also mentioned making fun of the Twilighters. It had everything. And all I said is, I want a song about Forks, Washington, and I want this kind of lyric, and I want this, I can't even remember who I picked, somebody from the 70s or 80s, AC/DC or something. I popped it out and played it.
You're so talented.
No, oh yeah, I know. It was a lot of fun.
No, but there's that kind of stuff. So I imagine next year's conference is going to be
Building on
pretty
that.
good too. So,
That sounds good.
So what do we need to do to build on that?
Well, your role will be, I'll bring AI board policy, which will be good because then we're meeting the needs of our online program as well. And of course, it's model policy. The real work happens with the teachers, how they figure out how they're going to use it. And we'll probably get resistors. Pretty much though, in working with our ELA teachers who are working on their standards, some are already using it. And then the real work comes with students. And the easiest thing I heard is that teachers code lessons in a red. You never use AI on this assignment. A yellow, you have to write down what your thoughts are about creating a story, but you can put all those thoughts in Chat GPT and it will do all the sentence construction and everything. That's an example of a yellow. And then a green would be go at it. The one thing I did learn, and I think I learned it in DC, I heard it again at WASDA, is that any of the AI, they're predictors. So they are oftentimes wrong. They are looking at series of patterns. And so it is very important anytime you use Chat GPT or Gemini, there's really only 4 engines too, that there's always the human eye to overlook it and make sure it's accurate. And so that's really what we want to teach our kids.
How to look it over and make sure
If they're going to use it, how to use it appropriately and for what reason. I mean, I think even at the post-secondary level now, universities are starting to take a different approach to it. They got, one of the major universities got sued somewhere in the northern states. And the reason they got sued is because the AI detectors are only 30% accurate.
That they use.
Well, see, what's scary about that though is the kids aren't thinking for themselves as much anymore.
Well, I think the
They got
best,
the idea and they throw it in there and it poops it out and they go, oh, that's cool.
well, but the
Probably don't
example
even read it.
he gave us is you already have a kid who can't write. They have great thoughts. They can't get it out. They have some kind of disability. Just think if they could get their thoughts and see what it looks like so they could start knowing that they can do that and learning it on their own by that technology, that would be an
So-
approach that
But
would be
how
very
many
different.
people
So
are
one of
there?
the arguments about what this Kevin said, and I understand it coming from old school stuff,
Yeah.
is it's in the workplace. You're gonna have to use it. Moving forward. Computers, same thing. Back
Not
when
in my
computers
time.
said they're only gonna be around, no one's gonna use them, but look what happened, right? The same thing is, that's their environment now in the workplace is AI and computers and stuff like that. So those kids learn it, they're gonna bring it into the workforce. So you can't stop them. I think we gotta embrace it basically. And that's why we need policies to help with our staff and teachers because it's gonna be out there. And everyone's gonna look at it differently, like you. You put it in there, not learning nothing. Well, they are because that's what they're gonna be using in the future.
Except for they're all going to the
So
trades.
we gotta look at it at that aspect too. And I was just, when it first came out, I was like you, well, how are they gonna learn anything? Well, yeah. So when you go to the conferences, you see both sides of it. You got the pros and cons about it, but really where it's coming out and that's gonna be the next phase. And it's not gonna go away. So what are you gonna do this?
Well, when you look at 2-year-olds and 1-year-olds that can work TV
phone.
remotes and phones,
Now my
their
grandkids,
mother's
the
phones,
thing,
you
they're
know
playing.
that we're kind of outdated
Right,
as
because
board
that's-
members because a bunch of us are baby boomers
Yeah.
and computers took up whole buildings if
Yeah.
they existed at all,
Yeah,
So,
when I went to college, they were in the basement.
so I do think we need to keep an open mind, but somebody needs, and so we await with bated breath the policies that are coming down.
After we get through our EP&O levy, past our EP&O levy, then I promise you we will get working on it. He did, I think, can't remember if he did it in the breakout session or in the overview, and he's working with, I don't know how many states. He's really brilliant though. He showed the horse being replaced by the car, then he showed the calculator that was gonna replace kids' ability to do math, the computer that was supposed to replace books and all that. He said it's like any other technology. It's coming, it's gonna be here. We need to embrace it, teach our kids how to use it and not use it rather than ignore it, because it'll be here in 6 months more than
How
you.
much does it cost?
I don't know, but we could book him
It would
for,
be interesting. to
he's
book him for the-
entertaining. Is
for
he
the-
not
Very
entertaining?
I think it would be
Yeah.
interesting to book him for like a community meeting and have him present, not, it'd be nice if we could just do it to us, but I think it would be valuable for parents and all adults to hear this too.
What makes you think about how we communicate with our kids and what we're missing, because they don't want an email or read a 4-page article about, they want a picture, they want a short text, or something
Graphic novel.
fun. Yeah, they think the next generation is already coming and they are the alpha generation. I don't know who makes up this stuff. Who
Yeah.
makes up this stuff?
Somebody-
But anyway,
AI.
it really,
Yeah.
we were resonating with it because they were talking about baby boomers who just won't retire and keep working. They always show up to work, whether they're sick or not, and they just don't understand why.
Well, everybody's gonna have to show up to work now
and told their kids to go to
under
college
the
and
next administration,
be
other
on
they're
time
gonna
and
get
this
fired.
and that, and-
But first,
So-
even to use that though, they gotta learn how to read and they gotta learn math and they gotta learn the basic stuff, right? I mean,
Well, they
Maybe, or you just get an
otherwise,
implant.
we're really dumbing them down. I mean. Reality.
That's a great invitation to go to the next It really was good.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming they're going to focus on AI again next fall, or yeah, in November when they do it. It'd be
Yeah.
good for us, even if we went for a day. I mean, we were not gone long. At least getting to Seattle is not having to get over to Spokane, which takes a full day in itself.
Well, I know everybody's got lots on their plate, but it would be interesting to see if we could do something where he would come and present to the community. Is that his name?
Yeah, he worked with Port Townsend, did a whole day with their staff on getting them involved with AI. And I talked to the superintendent there, and she said that a third are embracing, a third are kind of sitting here going, is this going to go away? And then a third are like, not doing it. So, I mean, we're going to see some resistance based on where your
But
own
you got to
personal
introduce
belief.
it to them, and you might as well get somebody who is very effective in communicating to introduce it.
But I think if we were going to book him for the opening of the school next year, we would need to do it now. We might.
Yeah, I imagine
wanna
it's
do
pretty
that, yeah.
popular. Well, I'm thinking, why even wait for the opening? Just
He
do it
grew
when
up
we can
in
get him.
Spokane Valley. He's just been on the international. I mean,
Sure, I
he's,
imagine.
yeah.
It's hard to get, so.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like it might be worth the money because it is something coming.
Yep.
Just
He's
like glaciers
entertaining
move.
anyway. He's
Mhm.
very entertaining.
Very entertaining. And he talks about a lot of different subjects too. He's very knowledgeable.
Like one of the things I didn't realize with again, these are generalizations, because when I was telling my husband, he was like kind of offended. I'm a baby boomer and I'm not like that. And I said, well, you grew up really differently. But anyway, he talked about the millennials not believing, from the school board perspective, he said about passing levies and bonds. And he went through each generation what their beliefs were. And that was fascinating. Like the millennials tend to not trust governments because they grew up, were told to go to school, take out big loans, and boom, when they did, now they couldn't find jobs. They have a lot of debt. So they're mistrusting of organizations like us and tend to not vote as willingly as others on.
Interesting.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
So he went into
There's a lot
that
of-
from the board perspective of what we could assume. Again, these are generalizations. That doesn't mean that's every person in that category.
Mhm.
So it's interesting.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else, Shannon?
Nope, not for me.
You brought that up.
That was a
I don't know
long
how you
discussion.
did that, but you did. So anyway, we ended with you. So nobody has anything? Okay. A report from Byron, or did he leave? Oh, there he is.
Just, we just finished our fall esports season. We had some students play in the playoffs. They didn't place, but we had a great turnout. We had some students in chess, and we had students in Super Smash Brothers. One of our chess players did really, really well. Even though he wasn't ranked really well, he competed against really high ranked people. He didn't quite make it to to being placed, but the kids had a lot of fun.
What did you call the other one? Super Smash?
Super Smash Brothers. It's a Nintendo product.
Okay. Was that the one that was demonstrated 2 years ago in DC? Do you remember?
I do not recall.
Okay. Anyway, just curious.
Well, great. And how are we doing with esports? Have we got any off the?
I don't think
Off
we
the
have
ground
any
yet?
kids takers. Mm-mm.
No. Okay. Anything else, Byron? Okay, thank you. Old business, revision of board policy 6220, bid or request for proposals requirement.
So the changes in red, and I have to clarify, I accidentally clicked on the bottom paragraph on page 1 of 8 and it turned black. I'm not sure why, and I can't, because I'm not used to Google. I don't know how to get it into red. But the red are the changes based on new auditing procedures. One that really stands out in my mind is F, Interlocal Cooperation Act. And so I'll give you a good example. One of the things we were called on when we built our stadium is we contracted services with a state entity, KCDA, to get our field. And we didn't make sure that they did their bidding practices in accordance with the auditing practices. We assume because they got the state bid that they were okay, but this spells out that anytime we contract services with somebody who has a state bid, we still need to do our due diligence to make sure that they're following the law, because otherwise we're not following the law.
Did we get nicked for that?
No. So it's an example of one of the changes. Jan's getting ready for our audit, and this is always the first thing they look at, so we wanted to make sure. The other thing, there's a piece in there about women and minority-owned businesses, where we have to post some of our bidding processes in some kind of catalog, or where they might better find that information. Trying to think what else. There's a non-competitive procurement. Anyway, and then the thresholds change from year to year. I'm not really sure why, other than I'm assuming it's because of inflation, because they all went higher.
Okay,
I'd recommend these changes.
well, then I recommend we entertain a motion to revise board policy 6220.
I'll make a motion. We revise policy 6220.
Second,
I'll second that.
okay, thanks. Any other questions for Diana? All those in favor of revising board policy 6220, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say no. All right. Educational programs and operations levy, EPO.
So you have a flyer in front of you, but I'm going to have Hazel pop up our presentation. I have already presented to eight different teams in QVSD. I'm starting internally doing presentations, and I've already been scheduled to do the Chamber, West End Business, PTOs, Lions Club, you name it. And we'll be doing those presentations in January. In fact, my first presentation is at the Chamber on January, hang on here, let me look at the date. I think it's January 7th. January the 8th. I would like at least one board member. I don't care who could.
What day of the week is that?
It's a Wednesday from noon to 1 at BB&G.
I
And
can
then
do it.
I'm gonna take a couple of administrators with me too, in the event that people have questions that you would like. Okay. And then there might be a couple of other places I need folks to come with me, and I would let you know. And then I want to tell you that this is a process. Thank you for supporting me in hiring our communication consultant out of the ESD 113, because they've helped us put all the materials together. They're an excellent team. And they have been guiding me through a process which we already had down, but just keep me on task. And so the goal before Christmas is to make sure that I have communicated and over communicated internally with our staff, so that our staff is on board. Particularly, I know that we have 189 potential votes with our staff, not including coaches and substitutes. That's how many employees are on the voters registration.
How were most of them feeling about it?
The presentations have gone really, really well. There's good communication. Of course, when we are with our QVSD hats, we may not tell people to vote yes, ever. We can provide them with all the facts. When you go out as a community member and you're Shannon Dahlgren as a regular person and a voter, you can tell anybody anything, but you have to really delineate, if you're talking to people, that this is what I know. So you're going to hear this again too, because good communication is in 7 different ways, 7 times. So you've heard it several times already. Now I'm going to give you another spiel here. Can you pull up the?
Oh, somebody else?
There's a link to a PowerPoint.
Did you develop this? Or is this what our communications people
I
did?
developed this with their help, and then before we even got to this, I ran the points by somebody I know who might have grown up a little bit in Forks, who left and came back. That would be my husband. And he's like, It's too complicated. Anyway, so.
It's really good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll walk you through the presentation. See that QVSD levy presentation slide? Show. Okay. So this is our 2025 renewal, even though it wouldn't start until January 1st of 2026, and it would go through December 31st of 2029. It's a 4-year, it's what you passed for resolution. So what does it cover? And again, this is going to be general information for where I go and do presentations. It not only will do a tax collection for 4 years at a steady rate, but it's going to bring in additional dollars. I'm going to explain the additional dollars because that's really important. But it covers safety and security, all of our security cameras. By the way, our security cameras are outdated. They need replacing. The whole systems need replacing. Covers support staff. That's not funded by the current state funding model, and we'll get into that in a minute. Maintenance equipment and minor repairs, that's a big deal because that's how we've been able to keep up with our facilities. Field trips and enrichment, athletic activities, our art, drama, and music program. A portion of student transportation, like all the equipment, like we need a new hydraulic lift for our buses. That's going to be one of the items. And then all of our technology updates, that would be Chromebooks, infrastructure, everything with technology. So for us, that's about 10% of our budget, 65% of our budget. It potentially will bring in $6.5 million a year, which is a big deal. And then, and it varies from school district to school district. One of the anomalies with us, if we pulled Insight School of Washington out, it would be more than 10% because two-thirds of our students are Insight School of Washington students. So that's kind of off a little bit, but anyway. So we have 67 support staff members. That does not include our bus drivers and our food service staff because those are paid for by their programs. They're not funded by the state, but they're brought in by federal state dollars for transportation and
I
food
thought we had
services.
87 support staff.
Well, we do. So you take out the bus drivers and you take out the food service staff, and that equates to 80. So minus them, out of the 67, currently we're funding 18 of those 67, which is about 27%. So I'll give you an example of what that is. When the state gives us money for our custodial staff, they say we only need 5. I think we have 9 on the docket to do our jobs. They say we should only get X amount of office staff. So we pay for surplus, not surplus, but needed office staff. Our behavior facilitators that support our building principals, our technology specialist, maintenance worker. It could be a variety of other support staff. So that's what I mean by support staff. When we look at our classified staff, instructional support, a lot of those positions are funded through categorical funding, federal dollars, Title I, our LAP funding. And again, the state only for 850 brick and mortar students, I think, funds about 13 FTE. That's it for support staff. So we got to figure out other ways to fund those. It funds 100% of our athletics, our coaching staff, our uniforms, our equipment, our buses, our diesel to get kids to places. Absolutely. That's the most important thing to me and our students. I did the presentation to our ASB kids, about 30 kids the other day. And they were like, well, what? And I said, yeah, the state doesn't see that as an essential learning piece. So that's how we pay for that. One other unique thing, we are not a pay to play. A lot of other school districts are pay to play, Montesano, Port Angeles, Squim, which means that kids have to pay. If our kids had to pay, that would be another barrier for not playing. And then the other thing about athletics that's not up there, which is really important, we open our buildings at nighttime to all of our Little League and other organizations. We don't charge them a dime. Most other places have a $60 fee for utilizing their services for a one-time fee, so it pays for the lights and the custodial staff. we use it as a community center. So again, it's a good way to pay taxes to get value added for kids.
Like all the Little League basketball games, that.
No charge. Yeah. Really important. By the way, we have 17 athletic programs. That includes our cheerleaders and currently about 280 student athletes. That's middle and high school in our programs right now. Okay. It also pays for our enrichment programs, our music, our drama. In fact, there's music going on right now, a concert. Our drama enrichment, like our Fork STEM underwater rovers, chess club. I think several years we didn't this year, but we had kids attend chess competition. So any of that's really important there. Go back to the. So the other important thing is, and I don't have it in this slide, but we also pay for student field trips, anything that would be considered extra learning opportunities for our kids.
How about that Salmon Coalition thing?
Salmon Coalition field trip. Yeah.
That's part of that.
So this has been an interesting discussion with our staff. So this is in theory, because again, we don't know what our future assessed value. We're projecting for 2026. If you remember, we want to get our rate to $1.50 per thousand, because this is the most important thing, and it's on the flyer. We get 3.5 times a return on our 1.5 million. Because we're property poor, the state will give us 5.73 million for the first year. That's an additional bonus. We don't pass the levy, we don't get the 5.73 million. So somebody asked me in my meeting today, so who pays for that 5.73 million? We are already taxpayers at the state level for schools. We are already taxed for that money. But if we don't pass the levy, that money goes back to the state and goes elsewhere. So that's our money. If you look at the 4 years, that equates to about 20.5 million. That's a lot of money. That's in addition to what we collect from our taxpayers, the 1.5 million. People have asked me, what would the rate be? So I say, in caution, we're aiming for 150 in 2026. But my prediction, based on what we've done in the past and looking at assessed value of properties, we're probably not going to quite make $1.50. It's probably going to be lower than that. But we can assure you we're not going to collect more than 1.5 million. So you can see over time, if our assessed value property goes up, then the dollar per thousand goes down. Additionally, I always start with levies are for learning, bonds are for building. But if you look here, our bond rate is going down. This is where we're going to hopefully replace our bond rate, because you lose this, then you have a lot to lose. So really, in theory, we're going to try to keep that around 269, 270. But, oh, that number is not right. Look at that. Nobody's caught that yet. We got to change that number and that number. 126 plus 72 is what?
198.
Yeah, that should be lower and that should be lower. I got to go back in there and see.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
We're going for $1.50 in the 2026. Why can't we just say $1.50, $1.50, and $1.50 for the following 3 years, and then everything adjusts to that and keep it at $1.50?
Can't do that.
Why not?
Because you can only-
Legally, you have to collect the dollar amount.
Yeah.
And so what other school districts do.
You mean that would go, the dollar amount would go up if in year 2027?
Potentially. This is the factor that you have to, so what I looked at Port Angeles is, what they did is they increased it every year. So they can try to keep the $1.50 flat. Remember, the $1.50 is what's us going to get the most for that local effort assistance. Mm-hmm. But the message I'm going to send to most people is that we don't pass this, we don't get that. That's $6 million out of our budget. But bigger than, we're already paying for that out of your state taxes, and we don't want that to go elsewhere.
But by the fourth year, we're losing $1.5 million.
Correct. That's potentially, could be more.
Well, yeah, it Could be more or less, depending on what the valuation of the property.
I didn't catch that. I've done this 8 times. Nobody has caught having that and
I
that.
see
See,
that.
this is a good time.
That's why we need the
Mhm.
levy, because we can't add.
So then, the other point that's not on here, but I think it's on there, if you look at the bottom, on the back side here, and the bottom point, there's 2 things that I think are really important for passing the levy. And again, one is the extra state, the 3.5 times return, but also our timber sales revenue. So we get timber sales in our bond and we get timber sales in our levy. Those are junior taxing districts that were outlined by the state back in the 30s, and they're under the Department of Natural Resources, DNR. And when they log in that jurisdiction, if we have a levy, we collect money. So already the first 2 years in our last levy, we collected 600, we collect about 300 a year. Again, that is going to depend on timber sales, logging, all kinds of stuff. You know where that is. So if you added all of that up, we're really looking at about 21 million extra dollars that we get in for levying 1.51 million a session.
And it is all tax money we've already paid. Well,
Not all of
the additional amount is tax. we've
So
already paid.
people have already been asking me, so the kids were the best. When I went over the items of what we do, like we're going to resurface the track, we're going to buy you some cardiovascular, they were all excited. The most important thing to them is that we figure out, replace the audio, visual in the gym. That's really important to them. You know why? For graduation. Yeah.
We experienced that.
But they're excited about new wrestling mats. They're excited about they're grateful. They play other places and they know what we have there. They said, why wouldn't people want to vote? And I said, it comes to do with whether or not our community wants to pay taxes. And in America, we have a right to say yes and no. That's why we're going out for this. And then one of the other things they asked is, I can't remember who makes the decisions. So I explained your roles and who comes up with that 1.5 million. And then I did say that there were some state laws for us to get our LEA, our property poor, that chunk of money. And then our timber dollars, those are all state laws. So those were really good questions, really good learning. Questions that you might have at this point.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
And as you know, I supervise a lot of athletic events. And anytime I do that, I introduce myself to officials and the opposing coaches. And when I supervise, parents will come talk to me. I get nothing but compliments about our facilities. Everybody loves to come here. And even last weekend, the coaches, they're resurfacing they need to resurface their gym floor. And they're out there walking the floor and saying, we love the way this looks and feels. Who did this? So I'm giving them Kyle's information.
Yeah.
Yeah, people want to be like us.
Yeah.
And everything is top notch.
So I put together some talking points for you.
Good.
So you can, and I can email it to you if you want it on your phone. And eventually we're going to start hitting the social media with all of our communications once we get everything succinct. Go on to the next page if you want. Oh, wait, go back just a minute. So that little star in there, I also have been telling our staff that we'll be going out for a bond to replace that dollar figure there. But our goal is to keep, I'm assuming we're going to try to keep that under 250 overall tax. Okay, go to the next page.
Under 250, it's not under now.
Somewhere around, I'm sorry, 270 to 250.
Okay.
If you look at what that's going to be with 140 plus 117, 126 plus 72, that's going to be lower. Go to the next page. Again, the 20.5 million is, we'll only get it if we pass the levy. The levy needs a simple majority plus one, which is 50% plus one. On the February ballot, I went back to the last 3 times we have passed the levy in February. Our voter pattern right now are 4,000. only 38% come out for the February vote, which is about, I don't know, 1,500 votes, something like that. We need 800 some votes. That's pretty typical because most people vote when it's the general election. We
That's so weird.
increased our voter pattern by 400 since the last time we ran a levy. So I did some analysis because we can get the voter information, and it's because lots of families now have 18-year-old kids that either didn't register to vote, have left. Give you a great example. Kyle Weekly's family now has 4 registered votes. The Queens have more registered voters in their homes. The Rams have another registered voter in their home. So there's a lot of our 18, what I would say are younger 18 to 25-year-olds who might be in our community or might not, but they're registered to vote in our community. And so the Yes Committee will be looking at analyzing that list and then going out to calling people to let them know, hey, make sure you vote.
Or I have one that is registered, somehow got registered in Spokane.
Right.
Needs to switch to Clallam County
Okay, so go to the next slide.
before February. Yeah.
Diana, do you want to fix this right here though? On that mistake?
Yeah, but I'm going to fix that before I'll give you a new one. I'll
Okay.
email it to you with the correct numbers there. The other thing is, again, the timber dollars. Oh, somebody asked me, where do the timber dollars go? They go to the county. They stay in the county. They go into their general fund. So they don't come here out to Forks. If again, we don't pass our levy or we didn't have a bond and they logged on our timber lands, those monies still go to Clallam County, but they put it in their general fund and they get to do with whatever they want. So that's another reason we want our money for our kids. Okay. On the next page. And then again, the ballots are going to come out on January the 24th. So that's why we're not getting all the information out too soon, because you want to time it so that when your ballot hits, then
After Christmas.
yeah, after Christmas. Exactly. There are tax exemptions. And then there's where you would have somebody register to vote w.gov. If you want, Luke can do it online.
Yes, exactly.
Only just put a picture of our kid. Okay. I'll fix that and make sure you get the copy of the new stuff, okay?
Let Bill Brogger get in there.
I didn't.
The
Look at
committee.
Bill Brogger. There you go, yeah. Who's
My
the one up
sister.
there? David Hearn. Yeah, that was a fun group. Okay.
This is great, and I love how it's all laid out.
Yeah, he did good on that.
We just need to fix that chart. I can't even believe I didn't even see that.
That's funny.
Okay.
All right, thanks, Diana. And thanks, board, and all who participated. So we'll move on to our new business, which is the release of a promotional video. Has anybody on the board not seen that?
No, but we're gonna make it public now so people can watch it because we get oftentimes people who watch our board meeting. Go ahead.
That's the one.
We'll just
Respect,
watch the video.
integrity, and commitment. That's our promise at Quileute Valley School District 402. Nestled in a landscape adorned with mountains, rainforests, and beaches, our district celebrates a century of educational excellence within a community that deeply values education, tradition, and innovation.
Reaching 100 years shows that QVSD has been strong, has adapted to changes, and is ready to keep going. Here's to celebrating the past and looking forward to the next 100 years.
Here, diversity enriches our classrooms, including vibrant tribal cultures.
Our district has a variety of cultures, which helps foster a strong community in our classrooms and a sense of belonging, making Quileute Valley School District a great place to be.
Our small community thrives on close connections, creating a family-like atmosphere that supports students from preschool through 12th grade and offers innovative online and career and technical education programs, including our celebrated culinary arts course.
I'm so thankful that our district offers such a variety of programs and experiences for kids to truly find what sparks their interest.
Facilities boast some of the latest advancements, and our extracurricular programs are designed to nurture students' passions.
I love being a Fork Spartan. It's a great community to have, and you can be yourself and be around great people and get taught great things and lessons from teachers that care about you and want to see you grow as a person and be successful. I just love being a part of the community.
As we foster our future educators through mentorship and professional development, we remain committed to mirroring our diverse student body.
QVSD is the best place to work because we believe all students can succeed.
We are Spartans!
So nice.
Very good.
Very cool.
So we'll promote that, not as much for the EPN levy, but it'll be a part of our package when we work with the chamber for our 100-year celebration and figure out, like, we'll get shirts for the 100-year celebration. We're retooling our emblem or our logo so it says 100 years. That's pretty cool. I've got a couple of things. I'll let you guys decide which one you like best. And then we'll probably let kids sell shirts in the community and figure out, hats. Oh, that's a good idea. And then probably open up our football season with a big celebration of some sort of the school year, and do some smaller things at the end of this or through this year, leading up to the opening of school.
Cool. That was well done.
Thank you, Shannon, for stepping up.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. Yeah, she did really good. I'm not kidding. The producer is like, who is she?
Thanks.
All right. Well, that wraps up our
That's a
meeting
wrap,
for
huh?
tonight. So we are adjourned.
Awesome.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Good night.
Good
Good night.